Hi, and welcome to our first official guest webinar of the year. I'm Jo Henderson, a member of the marketing team, and I'm joined today by Giles Garnett, Head of Professional Services at Dux-Soup. And today's special guest, of course, our co-host, James Caldicott. I'll introduce James properly with the drum roll he deserves shortly, but let's just get a little bit of the admin out of the way. If you've joined on your mobile or tablet, for the best experience, turn it to landscape. And you'll all notice, whether you're on your laptop or wherever, that you'll have a number of different boxes open on your screen, all of which you can minimize or remove as often as you like. Simply click on the corresponding icon on the green bar at the bottom to see how it all works. And within there, you will also find the questions box. So between Giles and I, we'll be monitoring your questions today and feeding our favorites into James as we go through the session, and also with the focused Q&A session at the end. So on to our guest. James Caldicott is the founder of two businesses, no less, SJ Growth and more recently Sales Fit Acquisition. When we first spoke, I very quickly realised that James is a force of positivity with a zest for life and a passion for his business and the clients he supports. He's full of great ideas, and he's been using Dux-Soup for 5 years and says that the tool has been an integral link in the growth of his outreach agency. So before I start giving away too much of his success story, I'm going to hand over to James so he can introduce himself properly and lead you through the strategy that has generated over 4,000 sales appointments using LinkedIn, driving over 15 million in sales revenue. James, welcome to Dux-Soup.
Thank you, Jo. Appreciate it. And great to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. Yeah, I'm really excited to go through everything with you guys today and just give you as much value as physically possible. Like Jo said, I've been using Dux-Soup for 5 years, and honestly, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Not just for my career in sales, but for when I had my business. It's just been phenomenal. So yeah, I'm really excited to give you as much value as possible. We're going to go through something that's, do you know what? It's an extremely simple way to get success using Dux-Soup, and not even Dux-Soup on its own. It's a simple way to generate leads in general. One thing that the majority of people are doing these days is they're massively overcomplicating how to generate leads. Okay, if you think about your potential buyers, they're getting bombarded with messages every single day, whether it be on Dux-Soup using LinkedIn, whether it be email, whether it be any other methods, right? They're swarmed with people trying to sell to them. So today, what I'm going to run through with you is a very, very simple but ultra effective way to generate incredible leads extremely fast with very, very little effort. So I'm really excited to do that. I'll give you a bit of background on me if you don't know who I am. So I started in business 2 years ago, so back in February 2023, in a very unconventional and a way that I wouldn't recommend anyone to start, to be honest. So after starting a very, very small side hustle, my employer found out about it. It was a very small Slack group. I'll be honest, there wasn't any conflict of interest, but I completely appreciate their stance on this. But I got pulled into a meeting by HR, and I was told, unfortunately, you've broken the kind of terms and conditions of your contract, and you're going to have to go. So I was like, okay, this has kind of pushed it for me. I need to take action. I need to make something work, which is kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise. But I was expecting a month's notice. I was thinking, right, okay, they'll give me a month's notice. We'll see what happens. And they gave me 7 days. So on February the 7th, 2023, I had 7 days to replace my income. I had a baby due in 5 weeks. My mortgage had just gone up. I was a sole provider in the house. And yeah, to kind of say things got a bit tense for a little while is a bit of an understatement. But what it did do, and it's one thing I think that if you ever get put in that position, which again, I really do hope you don't. I hope you plan a little bit better than I did. It makes you, it turns you into someone that needs to get results like yesterday. And until you're really in that position, it's difficult to see what you're capable of. Anyway, long story short, 7 days, pure anxiety. Day 11, got my first client. Day 28, replaced my income. Day 77, I had 4x'd it. So it kind of really was, it's proof to me that if you've got confidence, you've got no other way out, and you just believe in yourself, you can absolutely achieve anything. So that's a very, very short description of my story. Before we go into the slides, because I'm just going to kind of just skip on just very quickly here. I'd love to know if anyone's open enough to just give me any kind of question you've got about what you're looking to expect from today. Anything specific, feel free to ask the question, and I'll do my best to answer it. Just want to try and tailor this as much as possible and get it as interactive as we can. So yeah, please feel free to put any questions in at all.
I'll share them as they come up, James.
Amazing. Right, let me go through the agenda then. Awesome. So, right, there's 4 things that we're gonna go through. Okay, and there's 4 things really you need to make sure that you nail before you even start to generate leads. Okay, and the first one is how to nail and how to really dial in your offer. So we're going to go through a very kind of quick, short spreadsheet, which kind of gives you some really kind of thought-provoking questions as how you can align your offer to the market in the most effective way possible. Now, once we've done that and you're completely confident that your offer is aligned, we're then going to go through how to build out your list. Okay, so how do we build out a list of prospects that we believe to be great fit for our offer, so we can make sure we nail that down and it's set in stone, list's good, offer's good. Then we'll move on to the campaign. So once that's done, we're going to help you create a connection campaign, which essentially is for a voice note. So it's very simple. We're going to set up in Dux-Soup, connection to voice note campaign, very simple. And then once we've done that, I'm going to teach you how to take that data on a weekly basis and use it to follow up with them to be able to nurture and drive sales calls. Now, this is a very, very quick way of getting leads. So I'm excited to show you.
I just thought I would share with you a couple of the responses that we've had from people. David has said he would like 3 qualified leads a week over the next month. Sophie has said she's starting in a new role and looking to start her LinkedIn pipeline from scratch with a bit of help. Taryn has said 7 days lead gen. Tony seeking experience on how to best use Dux-Soup. Matthew, first-hand impartial experience on how you found it. Lisa, the easiest way to get an appointment. And the list does go on. I can't read them all, I'm afraid, because they're still
fine.
It's amazing. We'll touch on some of those later as well, perhaps.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's perfect. Do you know what? Let me stop for a second, actually, and just talk through the power of Dux-Soup, because for me to get those results when I started my business, I made no cold calls, no cold emails. I did no networking events. I built my business to where it was, which was just shy of 30K a month in 77 days, just using Dux-Soup and LinkedIn. So it genuinely, and they're not paying me to say this, just so you know, it's absolutely phenomenal how good it is. And do you know what it is? The biggest thing is it saves us time. When you think about generating leads, there is so much that goes into that. You've got to find prospects. You've got to make sure that you're sending them an initial connection. You've then got to keep track of that and start sending an opening message. You've then got to keep track of that and then say, okay, who's responded, who hasn't? For anyone that hasn't responded, you've got to find them again, create another message, think about what can I say to them? How do I follow up in the right way? And so on and so on. And sometimes that's 4, 5, 6, 7 steps in a campaign. When you use Dux-Soup, it's all completely taken care of for you. So it's just, an incredible way of saving time. Now, for anyone that was saying, I want to get 3 leads a week, or I'm looking to build a new pipeline, or I need new appointments, lead generation, like I said at the beginning of this session, right, is completely changed. And you'll see when I go through this kind of new connection to voice note campaign, it's less now about reaching out to people and saying, oh, this is what I do. Here's my calendar link. Let me know when you're free and we can book a call in. It does not work like that, okay? We haven't earned the right to sell to anybody during the lead gen process. We haven't earned the right to do it. So what we need to do is we need to think outside the box and think, how can I be creative enough to send a message, send a voice note, whatever it might be, that's just going to open the door. It's just going to give us a chance to open the door, ask for a conversation, completely non-salesy, no agenda, no sales script, and just get in front of them. Because the ultimate goal on LinkedIn, and the same with every single outreach campaign you'll ever do, is to get them off the platform and into your calendar. That's the number one goal on every single outreach campaign that you do. Once you then start to build a relationship with somebody, you never know where it takes you. Okay, I've done deals in my career where I start off reaching out by saying, look, I just want to have a chat with you. No sales call, no sales script, literally just a chat. And within 3 weeks, they've signed up, because people, they love connection. Once you're in front of somebody, you can take it wherever you want to. The biggest challenge is getting in front of them. And that's where we need to be creative. So brilliant. Awesome. Okay, right. Let me go to the next slide. So creating an irresistible offer. Okay, so this is something that I'm ultra passionate about. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Okay, when I launched the business back in Feb 23, I had a program called LinkedIn Sales Accelerator. And the one area I didn't focus on for my students was the offer. I thought, okay, we can show them all the kind of mechanisms, how to generate leads, how to sell to them, how to make sure they've got a good content strategy in place. It all should be fine for everybody. And then I realized it doesn't matter how good your lead generation mechanism is if your offer isn't completely dialed in. So within this new program that I'm running, which Joe kindly introduced, which is the sales for acquisition program, which you guys have got a kind of exclusive offer to, it absolutely kind of focuses at the beginning of that program on creating your strong offer. So it needs to be clear, compelling, highly valuable, and just aligned to the pains that they're currently experiencing. So let's kind of dive just a little bit deeper into that. What does that actually mean? Okay. So the way that we push and we promote our business during lead generation, okay, it has to be the most impactful transformational statement that we can ever come up with. Okay. So the idea is I help ideal client achieve a specific measurable outcome in this time frame without their biggest objection. So if you sit there for a second now and think about your offer, the business you're working in, right? How would you put that together? Because by doing that, you're going to put yourself in the best position. Now, let's get some examples, shall we? So if you're a sales coach, this is what it would sound like. So I help B2B sales teams increase their close rate by 30% in 90 days without relying on cold calls. If you're an HR consultant, I help tech startups reduce their hiring time for 8 weeks to 3 weeks without paying extortionate recruiter fees. Finance consultants, I help SMEs save an average of 50k a year by optimizing their cash flow and reducing unnecessary expenses without needing a full-time CEO. Can you see every single one of these offers and these examples? They're compelling and they have a transformational part of how they're written. And that is how we then present it to the audience. It's like, okay, yeah, you can help me achieve that by doing this without this unnecessary objection. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Because that's all it is, right? Businesses and offers are just solutions to problems. That's what we are. We're a solution to a problem. And what we're trying to do here is make sure it's written in a way that's extremely impactful. Any questions so far around offer? Because we're going to move on now to another phase. So I just want to make sure everyone is completely kind of on it with this bit, and then we'll move on.
I'm just having a look. I don't think there's anything specifically about the offer. We've still got questions coming in from your initial bit. Any difference in approach when you're promoting products or services? Seeking recommendations to increasing the booking rate. Yeah, so at the moment, what will a compelling offer be for a lawyer? Okay,
let's stay with that one just really quick. So yeah, so what you've got to always think about doing, right, whether you're a lawyer, solicitor, accountant, financial planner, right, is putting yourself in the prospect's shoes and asking yourself, like, what are the major pains and problems that's keeping them up at night? Because that needs to be the basis of your offer. What's causing them the most pain is where your solution then comes in and you become the hero in the journey. So I would really recommend everybody to just put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're trying to sell to and clearly list out the top 5 things that they're probably struggling with. I mean, you're going to see in the resources section here after the call, there's going to be a document for you guys to be able to complete, and that is actually part of it. So part of the document, the offer creation document, is going to have that on there for you. But yeah, just really think about how you can solve their problems with your offer, and that is how you then position it.
So I'm just going to interject here because there's a few questions about, will the documents be available? How can I access it later? Will the slides be available? So just for everybody's benefit, the link that you use to dial in today stays live. And even after we have ended this event, once it's all uploaded into the platform and system, so give it maybe 24 hours, that link will still get you to the recording, and it will still allow you to have access to all the content that you'll see on I think it's in your upper right-hand screen. There's a related content area. And in there, you've got the documents that James is talking about, his worksheet. There's links to various different bits and pieces, and all of that stays live in the console. So you will have access to everything that you can see on screen right now. You will have access to from lunchtime tomorrow, if not before then. Okay. So yeah, I'll stop.
Oh. Thanks, Joe. Perfect. Good stuff. Right, cool. Let's demo then. So let's now move into the second phase, okay, which is all about making sure that we can build out our perfect fit target audience. So let me quickly open this up. Give me a second. Like I say, guys, you've got an exclusive offer here to be able to support and talk to me a little bit more about the program in more depth if you wanted to find out how it would be, what it's like working with me and how we could potentially help and support you moving forward. So there is all of that within the doc. Right. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, Joe, could you give me a heads up, just saying that you just make sure that you can see this screen?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah, we can see.
You got it. Perfect. Okay. Good stuff. Right. So I always recommend that LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the way that you go when you're trying to be ultra specific when you're looking to target a certain group of people. Okay. Yes, you can use LinkedIn Standard. Yes, you can use LinkedIn Events if you wanted to, and we will teach you within the program how to use all those 3 different methods. But this is a phenomenal resource that LinkedIn gives us. Now, actually, if you've never used it as well, you can actually get 2 months for free. So either let Joe know, or we'll figure out a way where you can contact me and I can send you a code across after this. But it's an amazing part of LinkedIn to help us kind of really nail down that list. So the way that we use it is we want to click lead filters. So what you can see here, it gives us access to over 20 different filters within the leads. Okay. Now, we're going to use an example here for me. I like to target, let's say, coaches and consultants, maybe recruiters, accountants. We'll put a few in here as an example for you. But I'm going to build that out so you can see how I would do it myself. So the first thing I always say, kind of start with, is company headcount. So myself personally want to work with 1 to 10 employee businesses. If I scroll down, it doesn't matter what company type it is, but I want to work with companies within the UK. So we type in United Kingdom, and this is a registered kind of headquartered office location, so UK. Then current job title, I want to make sure I want to work with founders. I want to work with owners. And that will do for now. So founders and owners, let's do that. Now, next thing, we're going to scroll down here. So where do these people want to be based? So we've got the company headquarters locations in the UK, but I also want them to be based in the UK as well. Now, once we've done that, we're going to go down to industry. And I've already mentioned, so accounting. I want to target staffing and recruiting. I want to target professional coaches, consultants, and I also want to target financial services. Okay, so once we've done that, I'm then going to scroll down here, profile language English. Then scrolling back up to the top, there's a few here I want to click on and show you. So connection, I always want to connect with new people. Okay, this is a 2nd and 3rd degree connection campaign. I don't want to voice note or send anything to anybody I'm already connected with right now. So 2nd and 3rd degree connection in here. Now this is the button that is phenomenal. Okay, so this is posted on LinkedIn. Now this means if I click on that, it's only going to bring up profiles that have been on LinkedIn or posted on LinkedIn, sorry, within the last 30 days, which is ultra important for a campaign like this, because we want to target people that are 1, on the platform, and 2, have the best possible chance of replying to us. So always click on that to build your list to start with, okay? Now, the last few things in here, there's nothing else actually. If you want to make sure that you exclude anybody you've messaged on LinkedIn Sales Nav before, you can exclude them here. Not a massive one, to be honest with you. But this is the list. So you can see here that I've currently got 8.5 thousand people that fit this criteria. Now, one last thing I'm going to teach you before I go on to the next phase is there's a filter down here called years in company. So this is just going to allow me to be even more ultra specific. So let's just presume, okay, that people that have been in business for more than 10 years probably don't need someone to help them generate leads more than someone that's been in business for 1 year. So we can start to be a bit selective with how experienced these people are. So I might go 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, or even better, actually. Let's go 1 to 2 years and less than 1 year. These people should need some support when it comes to lead generation. So this has now just made my list even more specific. So you can see how kind of granular you can go into depth with the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Once you save it, so you click the button at the top here, that's then saved. Call it whatever you want, but that is now done. So what I'm now going to do is move into Dux-Soup. Now, please let me know, Joe, if you can see this. It should be the Dux Dash.
Yeah, we're heading in there now.
Okay, brilliant. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Perfect, good stuff. Right, so now what we need to do is create a drip campaign. So a drip campaigns in Dux-Soup, people that aren't using it, is kind of a section where we can actually build out the campaign itself. And I'll give you an example of what that looks like. So if we're looking to do a multi-step campaign, if I click on this one for an example, you'll see here there's a connection request that goes out, and then I've put different steps and stages in. So 1 day later, they get this message. 2 days after that, they get this one. Then we visit their profile 3 days after that. 1 day after, they get another message. And then finally, they get another message, which is the final message 5 days later. So you can do whatever you really want to do within the drip campaigns. But for this specific example, we're going to click on New Campaign. Actually, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to show you. I'm going to copy this just so I can save myself a little bit of time. We're going to go New Campaign. We're going to call it, let's say March 25. Owners, Accounting, Rec, FS, and Coaching and Consulting. So that's the name of my campaign. I'm going to stick that in there. And then in the connection request message, so I'm just going to delete this actually first. So the connection request message, I'm just going to put one very simple message. And I'll tell you why we do this in just a second, okay? It's, hi, first name, hope you're doing well. Quick one, I've got something I'd love to run past you. Do you mind if I send over a short voice note? So we save that down. And this is the connection to voice note campaign. It's extremely simple, like I said. But there's two options here, okay? The reason we've put a message in this text box is because I'd much rather people accept my connection request and expect me to be sending them a voice note than accept a blank connection request and not expect it. Now, we've tried this over the last 12 months with my other business. And during that time, we've generated 977 meetings for our clients. And this was the resounding winner. We want to make sure that anyone that we send a voice note to is expecting it. So all we need to do here in the connection request message, just use this message, put it in there, really simple, press save, and it's done. Now, one last step. I'm not going to go through to the whole thing because I don't need to do it. But I was going to show you really quickly how you then would go and enroll those people into that campaign. So we've gone back to our list. We're in Sales Navigator. We've got the list. It's looking good. We click the duck at the top. We click enroll. And then you'll find the campaign that we've just created. So March 25, owners, accounting, recruitment, financial services, coaching, consulting. You'd click on that. And all you need to do is send, depending on what your limits are, every week you can send anything between 100 and 150 invites. We press OK, and it would then enroll those people into that campaign. So really simple, take you 5-10 minutes to go through. And once that's done, I'm going to go back into Dux Dash. We're going to go into the funnel flow. And I'm actually going to show you one that I've already set up. And I'm going to show you the next step of this. So when you want to review the data, let's say I've just enrolled 500 people from the list that we've just shown you there. Every single week, so every Monday, we enroll them on a Monday, every single Monday, what you'll do, let me go back into here, is we're going to go in and we're going to see how many people have accepted. So there's currently 21 people. So that tells me I've got 21 voice notes to send today. And how you go about doing that is we literally will get the funnel flow up, we'll click copy, and it will tell me, it will ask me what tab to copy. So I want to click accepted. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a new tab, which you should be able to see in just a second. you see that, Joe? Does that come up?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, perfect. So we've just copied all the acceptances from that week. All we then need to do, click on ID, press paste, and it's going to populate this spreadsheet with all the people that I now need to voice note. And what you're looking at, just to give you some idea of numbers, guys, is if you do this on a Monday and you have a typical response rate of 30%, obviously that means every single Monday, the following Monday, you should be sending anything from 30 plus voice notes. And as long as you've got an offer that's completely dialed in, you've spent the time making sure it's the right people receiving the voice notes, so you've really spent time making sure that list is as accurate as possible, 30 voice notes a week is plenty for anybody to generate between 3, 5, 6, 7, even 10 sales meetings a week. That's how powerful this campaign can be. So it's ultra personalized, it's very simple, but it's very, very tailored and it's very specific. And the most important thing is very different than what 99% of other people out there are doing, which is going to make you get noticed. And then in future, obviously help you translate them into sales calls and hopefully potential clients. So that is very simply how to create the voice note campaign. Let me go back onto the screen. Do we have any questions? Any questions at all about any of that process? Feel free to ask me anything. Oh, Joe, I can't hear you.
Helps if I click the mute button, doesn't it? So that I'm
I was worried that was me then.
David has asked for clarity. How do you send a voice note in Dux-Soup?
Very good question, Dave. I should have covered that as well. So unfortunately, you can't send voice notes in the desktop version of Dux-Soup, of LinkedIn. So you have to actually use your mobile. So what I typically do, once you've got that spreadsheet up that I just showed you earlier, is just have your mobile ready, go onto the messaging tab, and one by one, just find them in your mobile. You hold on to the little microphone, leave the voice note, let go of it, it's sent. So the idea is that we can generate, the voice note is 30 seconds long, then you're able to send 30 voice notes in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So this is the beauty about this campaign is there's tons of customization that's going on, but really all you're doing is committing 15 to 20 minutes a week to generate anything between 2, 3, up to 10 new sales meetings.
Yeah.
So it's ultra.
The campaign with the connection message, yep. And you're using Dux as well to help you get hold of that data.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. It just helps you organize it, keep kind of quick tabs on the acceptances, and then qualified once you kind of put them in. So yeah, ultra effective. There's one thing, sorry, Joe, that I forgot to show, which is the scripts, which you can have access to. I can make sure that's important. But within the program, we actually kind of give you, let me just quickly share. Because I know a lot of people will be thinking now, what do I say in my voice note? How do I script it correctly? So just don't worry. Let me just show you this very, very quick. Okay, so if you can see my screen, hopefully you can. This is what I want to try and do, right? There's 3 different types of voice notes that we can script. A very soft voice note, a balanced voice note, or a direct voice note. So what we want you to try and do is think about how you can create something by filling in the gaps where you really focus on the stuff that we've already done within the building out your offer worksheet. So again, we're talking the language of the stuff that we want to try and solve for our prospect. So I'll give you, let me just find one I can read out. So for example, this one here could be, hi, first name, I want to drop you a very quick voice note to say thanks for connecting. I spent most of my time helping ICP with this problem and solution, and it's always great to connect with others in this space. I'm not here to pitch anything, just love meeting new people, learning more about what they do. Would you be open to a quick intro chat to learn more about each other's work and see if there's any potential for collaboration? No pressure at all. So it's very customized, very specific, and we're not even trying to sell anything. We're just trying to get that person to want to talk to us. If we want to be a little bit more focused, now stories are an amazing way of getting people to engage with you. This could be an option, right? So, hey, first name, great to connect. Hope you're doing well. I recently worked with a similar company that was struggling with this specific challenge, and we've helped them achieve this result. It was great to see how a few small changes made a big impact, and I thought it'd be useful to share how we did it. would you be open to a short chat to go over the details to see if we could be relevant for you as well? So there's lots of different ways you can do it. And again, there's a worksheet here that we can run through with you to help you script this out perfectly. Once you've done that, you go on to a launch call with me, and then we actually launch the campaigns together. But yeah, scripting the voice notes is really important, but we've got you covered. So don't panic about that at all.
Now that script as well, James, I think, did you say that's in the SalesFit landing page?
Yeah, so what we'll do, yeah, so one thing they can do, there's a landing page on the resources section. Book a call in with me, and I'll share it with you afterwards. So we can have a chat, I'll share it with you, you can have access to it, and we can see if you're a good fit as well. But yeah, you'll get access to that, the full scripts if you need them.
Okay. Peter has asked, can you also send a link of a video or something instead of a voice note using that method?
Absolutely can. Yeah. So videos are another way of just heavily customizing your outreach, which would be massively beneficial. One thing I'd say is just track the time it takes you to send out the consistency, because for me, sending out 30 is the most important thing. And if we're booking, again, not everyone needs 5-10 meetings a week, right? We could all probably do a very good job by booking 3 to 5 meetings, even 3-4 meetings a week. So again, track it. Do the videos, absolutely. Make sure that ICP, though, that ideal customer, is nailed on and they are the right people you're sending it to. Just track how long it takes you. If it's taking you 4 hours to get the same result as 15 minutes on voice notes, obviously, you may want to just stick with that one. But definitely try it.
Okay. Todd, where do we get the scripts? We've just mentioned that one. We've got over 100 questions, so apologies for the slight.
That's all right.
Feel free to come on and dip in if you find something.
Yeah, sorry, typing at the moment, trying to keep up with some of the Dux questions.
What do you do with leads who have not accepted your invite? Is there some way to recycle them? That's from Tatiana.
Yeah, there is. So one thing LinkedIn doesn't allow us to do is ask for the connection again within 30 days. So we'll have to wait 30 days, and we'll have to put them back into another campaign potentially. There's no real way we can actually freely message those people that aren't connected with you. The only way you can do it is through LinkedIn Sales Navigator by sending an email. So it's an option. We've never really utilized it in my business. So what we typically find is there is plenty of really good fit prospects that will connect with you. So I'd focus the majority of your time on those. If you're working in a space where you have a very high value offer and there's not huge amounts of prospects, then absolutely, what you can do is find that person in LinkedIn Sales Navigator and just bypass the connection. Send them an email instead, so you can have a good chance of being able to pitch them. But that's what I would do. But every kind of 3 months or so, just that list that you've built on Sales Navigator will still be there. It's a live list. That person will still appear in it. And what you can then do is ask them to connect again. One little thing that you might want to consider is if you've put a connection request message in previously to them and they didn't accept, maybe remove it for the second time and see if it kind of lowers that barrier to entry slightly, and they then go on to maybe accept it.
Ben has asked, is there anyone that this won't work for?
So as long as your audience, your target audience, is on LinkedIn, I can't see a way. As long as you've got your offer nailed on, you've got an optimized LinkedIn profile, you have scripted your voice note in a way that is extremely talking to the pains, the problems of what they potentially are experiencing, and you're not asking for a sales call. You're literally just asking to put a kind of face to the name, short intro, no sales. The chances are, if you repeat it, and this is the thing about Dux-Soup, which is really important, it allows us to be consistent with our outreach. Like I said, if we can send 30 a week and we've nailed everything else on, like I said, the script, the offer, the list, it's consistent. We're doing it every week. I can't see this not working for you. The only thing that you may have to do if this doesn't get you leads is think about what could you give them for free? What lead magnet could you create that instead of just asking for a quick chat, you might want to say, for example, I'm giving away a free audit this month. So we've just achieved this result for this client that's very similar to you. I wanted to reach out and say, look, we're actually offering a free audit. We could help you understand a bit more about the potential supporting you or something. You know, something along the lines of just here's a ton of free value. Would you like to see it? Whether it be a free video, an audit, a case study, that could also be a way that's going to entice people in. But we've had people that are getting 1 meeting a month switch to this model, and they end up getting 5 meetings a week. So even with the toughest offers in the kind of the most saturated markets. Yeah.
Lucas has asked, do you think there's any difference in approach when you're promoting products or services?
Not overly, to be honest with you. Again, products, services tend to be much high, kind of a little bit more high value, which then tends to kind of go down slightly better. If you've got a relatively expensive product that solves a pretty big problem, I don't see it to be too much of a difference. I think if you've got a low value product, you might find that, again, it's still 15 minutes a week of your time, right? So it's not going to be huge amounts of investment except for the tools that you're spending on. But that may cause you slight issues just because there might not be enough volume for you to kind of make enough from it. But typically, no, for me, product or service, whoever you're selling to as well, at the end of the day, we're solving problems. If we can demonstrate that the right way and have a strategy that allows you to consistently approach them, no, I don't see too much of a difference.
Okay. Ed has asked, in which stage of the conversation do you actually propose your offer? So you've done your connection message, you've done your little voice note, then what?
Yeah. So the idea is from the voice note, right? The majority of people that, if you position your voice note correctly, there's not going to be too many conversations that happen off the back of it because we're pretty direct. We're saying, you know, this is us. This is what we do. This is who we've worked with. Do you think this could be relevant to you? No sales call here, just a chance to meet and connect. Typically, 90% will come back and either say, no, not interested, or don't really want to connect or do that. They either won't respond, or the people that do come back typically go, yeah, James, sounds good. Let's connect. So what you want to try and do is do as little selling as possible in LinkedIn. Like 95% of all the selling that you do should be on the sales call. And even when sometimes people ask you some difficult questions where they want to try and get as much out of you before they get you on a sales call, quite often it's worth just putting them back a little bit and saying, listen, would love to answer your questions. Just think it's going to come across a little bit long-winded in a message. You know, I've got a booking link here, or I'm free next Tuesday at 3 o'clock or 5. What works best for you? We can jump on a call and I can run you through all of that in very specific detail. So I would say, yeah, direct answer to that question is I would start to pitch my business and my offer properly during the sales call, not in the messages. Try and get them off message and into your calendar.
Okay. Something that Scott's mentioned in the past as well is he will often state a time and a date rather than give the option of sending a calendar invite so that people can pick to try and kind of pick that time and focus that time. Because he's always said that if they can't do that time, they'll come back with an alternative. So that's the way to go. Yeah.
I've got a question here, and now I've lost it. That's brilliant, isn't it? So, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Sarah asked, what's the difference between running a campaign in regular LinkedIn versus Sales Navigator? Now, I think you've already advocated there, James, the benefits of Sales Navigator. You know, I personally think that the filters and the options you get in Sales Nav are far supreme to what you get in regular LinkedIn. Are there any other benefits that you see as well, James?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's, I think, definitely, Giles, LinkedIn Sales Nav for me is it's so much better than standard LinkedIn. You can absolutely use standard LinkedIn, though. Don't feel like you have to go ahead and use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. There are filters within the standard platform that will still allow you to kind of narrow down by area, by job title, by connection level, by follower, by industry. You still can do that. It's things like the active on LinkedIn buttons that are just so precious when you go to do any kind of outreach, because you want to reach the people that are going to hopefully respond much more effectively and things like that. So again, yeah, it depends on everyone's circumstances different. I completely appreciate that. I would also say that you will still generate success with standard LinkedIn for sure. Like I still am very confident that if you did what I showed you there, but did it in standard LinkedIn to build your list, the chances are with the repetitiveness of what we're going to be doing, like I said, anything like 25 to 40 of these voice messages a week, you will generate success for sure. You're just going to get more success, I would say, from the more active profiles that you're going to get through Sales Navigator. But also have a think about, I'll kind of give you my opinion on something really quickly, but also have a think about how valuable your offer is, right? LinkedIn, I think, is £69 a month for Sales Nav. And a lot of people I talk to are very reluctant about investing money into things like this, but really think about the value of your offer. You know, if I said to you now, you could be speaking to 15 to 20 new prospects a month using this method, and your offer's £5,000, what's £69? It's nothing. So really, if you can afford it, I really would recommend that, like, look at the long game here. Short-term loss, long-term gain. Yes, it's going to cost you money in the long term. And in the worst case scenario, you spend £180 over 3 months. You know, it's
just as a further to that, there's a few people come in and said, yeah, well, does it make a difference if you message them in Sales Navigator or in regular LinkedIn? I don't think it does, to be honest, does it?
For me, Giles, I would always send it from standard LinkedIn, not LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So when you go into Dux-Soup, when you create a drip campaign, on the right-hand side it says send from, and you can pick standard, recruiter, or navigator. Always do standard LinkedIn, because ask yourself this question: how often have you got your LinkedIn Nav inbox open?
Yeah,
I bet a lot of you haven't got it open
managing
that
multiple mailboxes in LinkedIn is a curse to everybody. But I mean, I agree there. You know, you ideally want to keep it as simple as possible and straightforward for handling those responses that do come in. Dux-Soup does check both mailboxes. In fact, all 3 mailboxes now for responses. So it checks in the recruiter mailbox now as well. Okay. But to keep it as simple as possible, if you're working in that sort of environment, if you can message in standard LinkedIn, then I think that is the consistent way to go.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Nick has asked, he said, burning question, is there a way to exclude certain companies from being enrolled using Dux-Soup, or would you do this before enrolling using Sales Navigator? I think this is a Dux-Soup. Go on, Giles.
So there's a couple of ways of doing this. I mean, first of all, in your search criteria, you can exclude certain company names. So if you're in Sales Navigator, you can type in the name of a company and you can exclude that from your search. We also have the regex exclusions, which I will try and find the link for in a moment and send that through as well. So you can basically get Dux-Soup to do a look against whatever data it finds against that profile in that snapshot preview you see in Sales Nav. So say, for example, it says they work at, I don't know, Microsoft or wherever it may be, and you put in the correct information in the regex exclusion, then Dux-Soup will skip those profiles as well. So that is an option there. But yeah, there are a couple of ways of doing it. I'll dig out the regex. What question number was that, Joe? And I'll try and find it and put the link in there.
I've moved away. It is number. Oh no, hang on, I've lost it.
Who was it? Do you remember?
I want to say it was Ben Johnson, but I don't think it was.
Okay, I'll flick through and have a look.
I'll have a look. Sorry.
There's another thing as well you can do there as well. If anyone's working in a business where they want to try and exclude their current clients, and sometimes you could be working in a massive business, you've got thousands of clients, manually excluding them could be quite difficult. Yes, there's a Dux-Soup way, but you can also upload account lists into Sales Navigator. So once you've done that, just put it into a CSV format file, and then upload it into Sales Navigator. Then when you build your list out, like I showed you on the lead filter list, there's a filter at the bottom called account lists. You can then bring it up and exclude it. So you can exclude all of your clients from your outreach to make sure you're not treading on any toes and so on.
Okay. Just replying to Lisa, who said, are you sending, just for clarity, are you sending 30 separate voice notes? I'm saying yes, you are, but it's taking you 15 minutes because you're doing it directly from the spreadsheet with your little list.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. The time won't really change, actually. I've tried this as well, and you can also record a voice note. So you could script it out. You could use something like Loom, like a screen sharing or voice recorder, and in the most clearest possible way, if you've got a headset, for example, put a headset on and record the voice note once on Loom, save it, and then you could have a split screen on your computer. You could have your spreadsheet on one side, your Loom audio message on the right-hand side, and as you're scrolling through, you could just put your mobile phone to the computer, press play, and then you could just use the same voice note for every single prospect. It just stops you from constantly talking. The only benefit you've got is the fact that you could say, for example, "Hi Joe, it's James, thanks for connecting," or "Hi John, it's James, thanks for connecting." That one customization of first name won't be included. But I'm yet to see huge amounts of differences between that. So just give it a good go. But I've done it before. Sending 30 to 40 voice notes in one go, it's fine because we get great results. But yeah, afterwards you think, "Oh, I've just sent 40 voice notes in one go." You can record it and then just play the recording to everyone.
Wonderful, thank you. Edgar has asked, if you withdraw a connection request after 7 days, does it free up the number of LinkedIn connection requests for the month?
Don't know the answer to that, actually. Not too sure. I've never had to do that myself. But LinkedIn's really strange. Yeah.
I think if you've got a pending one and you remove it, I think it's 3 weeks, isn't it, Giles, before you can...
Yeah, so this is all part of the fun and games that LinkedIn presents us with regards numbers of invites, etc., etc. Now, what you see is if you send out a bunch of invites and they're not accepted, and then eventually you hit those buffers with regards, "Hey, you're out of invites for now, please try again next week." There's 2 scenarios whereby that can then be released effectively. You either wait till next week, 3 scenarios then, a bunch of people accept, which will kind of allow you to do more, or you can withdraw invites. Now, none of those things will be immediate. So if you withdraw invites, it doesn't necessarily mean immediately you can send more invites, but there are algorithms in place on the LinkedIn side. If you've got, for example, usually you leave an invite with somebody for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 weeks, that kind of time. Beyond that, it's probably unlikely they're going to accept. If it's only 7 days, I think that's a very, very short period of time. I personally would leave my invites out there for longer, each to their own. But yeah, if you end up with, like, for example, 600, 700, 800 outstanding invites, you want to be withdrawing those older ones to give you space to do more. If you've got a massive list of outstanding invites, that's an indication to LinkedIn you're not getting a great acceptance rate.
Yeah, and there's potentially a reason for that, or it assumes that there might be. Yeah, okay.
Very, very quickly, Colin's just come in and said, "Sorry, a bit confused. Better use to use Sales Nav or LinkedIn." So if you can, use Sales Navigator for filtering and creating your lists, but then activate your Dux-Soup campaign. So you do you build your list, you carry out your search, and you enroll people from Sales Navigator, but the campaign is then executing in regular LinkedIn. And I think that's what James was saying earlier.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions like that, so hopefully that's cleared it up. Ivan has also asked, if they don't respond to the voice note, would you follow up via an alternative method, either another message, a campaign, or an email?
Yeah, great question. And I left this out on purpose because it's quite a complex way of doing it, and we go into much more depth during the program. But essentially, yes, we do. So what we'll do is we'll look, using the Dux-Soup data, we can see how many invites went out for a month, how many got accepted, and then how many actually, obviously we've got how many got the voice note and how many then responded to the voice note. So anyone that responds to the voice note, we'll either qualify them or disqualify them, which means at the end of the month, our acceptances that stayed in acceptance will be the ones that we can potentially reapproach because they haven't responded to our message. So what we can then do, and again, this is quite complex, but essentially you can export that data from Dux-Soup, all the people that accepted that didn't respond to the voice note, save that in a CSV file. It could be, for example, March 25 non-response voice notes. Save it down. Then you can create a new drip campaign in Dux-Soup. You can upload the list and you can then create steps to it. So you could do, for example, my first message would be, for example, "Hi Joe, I never heard back from you. I sent you a voice note a couple of weeks ago. I just thought I'd reach out and thought, is this a better way of getting in contact? Let me know your thoughts." And then I could even put more steps on it. I could put, if Joe doesn't respond, then I'll put in 5 days. Joe, is this of interest? ? So you can then build out a secondary campaign based on the people that never responded to your voice note, which will then also maximize the results you get from the stuff that you did previously. So yes, there is. I left it out on purpose because it's quite a complex way of doing it, but it's absolutely possible.
Okay, that's fab. I saw another one about campaigns. I'm just Marina, how long should we wait between each action of a drip campaign, and how many actions should we have in a drip campaign? it's quite a long and convoluted answer to that one, Maureen, and I'll see if I can dig out a link for you. But James might want to discuss how he would.
Yeah, so I've got I've got a lead magnet drip campaign that I've done, which is, again, it doesn't really matter what kind of campaign it is, but essentially it's a 5-step drip campaign. And how I look at it is, we want to obviously send a connection request, and when you've got multiple messages off the back of a connection request, I keep it blank on purpose, and that's just because we increase the connection rate 30, 40, 50%. Once that happens, I then send an initial pitch message 3 days later. So what I mean by initial pitch is I want to give my all, really. If you think about the voice note that I walked you through earlier, where we're scripting it out and we're going, we wanted to reach out because of this reason, we've helped this business achieve this goal. I really want to give my all in that first pitch message to say, look, this is why I want to talk to you. Then what I do is I will wait 3 days and I'll send a very, very simple follow-up. And it will, like I said earlier, it will be, hi, Joe, did you get my message? ? Very, very simple. And then 5 days later, we send another message. Now, this is the last chance that we've got at pitching. I don't pitch anymore after this one. And typically what the third message is, which is 5 days later, is I'm going to give this person 3 bullet points as to why I want to talk to them. So basically, I'll look at the initial pitch message, explain what we've done for somebody else, and then I'll say, we are efficient in this, and we've helped achieve this goal, and they went from here to here in this many days. And then I'll put at the bottom something along the lines of, office still open, Joe. Would love to talk you through this. If you thought it would be of value, let me know your thoughts. Now, that's the last time that I pitch anything. That's a 5 days later. Then what we'll do 7 days later is another little nudge. And typically I put something in there like, the last thing I want to do is keep bothering you. So please let me know either way. It's not a problem. It's a no. Just let me know this is of interest. And then 8 days later after that, we'll do a very simple final message, which is obviously the time wasn't right. Apologies, I never got through to you. Just so you know, I've got this free resource or this free thing that I'd love to share with you if you thought it could be of value. Let me know if you want a copy and I'll send it across. So it's like in a long way, that's saying it's a pitch message. 3 days later, small nudge. 5 days later, 3 bullet points as to why I feel we should be talking. 7 days later, we'll do a very, let me know either way. It's not a problem. Just tell me no. And then 8 days later, it's a sign off with a free value, something of free value. Hopefully that helps. Sorry, I know it's quick.
No, that's good. Sorry, I look distracted because I'm multitasking. But I think that's really handy to kind of get insights into your kind of campaign follow-up sequence. So thanks for sharing that one. Matthew has asked, do you go straight in with the connection request and offer of a voice note, or have you tried warming them up in advance and doing profile visits or anything like that?
Yeah, so I don't ever warm them up at all. I like to keep it as direct as possible. And look, the filters where the kind of actions and steps that you can add, profile visits are great, don't get me wrong. But for this specific one, no, I don't, to be honest. The only thing I do, which is like a pre-work, is just the preparing them for what I'm going to do. There isn't anything stopping you, though. If you were to do like a drip campaign where you've got 3 or 4 steps, you might want to use the last step of that sequence as a voice note. So I think the kind of resounding fact is the voice notes are just ultra effective. I think you can use them in multiple different steps in multiple different campaigns to get more out of them. So yeah, I don't personally, but yeah, I think for me, because you get immediate value from the voice note, I just don't feel there's any warming up needed, to be honest.
Okay. Wonderful. What I might do now is I'm just going to flash on to let people know what is coming up for Dux-Soup, and then we can go back to the questions because there's still lots coming in. Are you okay to stay on a bit longer, James?
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So let me just flag up the next 2 webinars that we have coming up, just so people know what we're up to and where they can register for these. So our next webinar is on the 15th of April. We're going to be sharing our 3 top strategies for accelerating your outreach using LinkedIn automation. regardless of whether you're on a paid LinkedIn Sales Navigator plan or a free one. So as you've seen today, we have lots of questions about whether you need to pay for Sales Navigator, what the benefits are, and how you can use Dux-Soup if you're not. So we will be holding that session. It will be 7 p.m. In the UK, which is 10 a.m. EDT. And we're going to be demoing how you can search for and create lists of your target prospects, build an automated campaign in Dux-Soup, and track and report on your campaign progress. We'll also be advising you of various different restrictions around the two plans and how you can work with them to achieve your lead generation goals. So that's at the new time of 10 a.m. EDT and 7 p.m. in the UK in 4 weeks. We're also, if I push on to the next slide, looking at another onboarding workshop. So in November, we ran some focused onboarding workshops where we, Giles, Scott, and myself kind of properly handheld those who registered and attended through the process of signing up for the free trial, and then literally walking you through step by step on how to use Dux-Soup, how to link with your LinkedIn account and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be launching those again at the end of April. So it'll be a 2-part workshop again. The first one will be on the 29th of April. And we're targeting software, SaaS and technology companies in that workshop. So if you'd like to register, you'll find the link in your content window. So if you click on the little paperclip, there's a link in there for both of those webinars. And when this session closes, or when you come out of the session, you'll also get a pop-up for one of those webinars as well. So there's lots of ways that you can find that registration link. So hopefully that has made some sense to everybody. And now I will come back to some more of these questions. We'll perhaps have another maybe 10 minutes, if that's okay, James, and then we'll close it.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I mean, no rush at all.
I've got two from the top here then. So one from Gabby, who's been asking, I think, what's the best practice for an SDR with a voice note campaign? And then second, if you take this as well at the same time, from Balaji, have you tried the voice note in any other cultures other than the UK, and what are your experiences? So a couple of questions there. One about SDR, best practice for an SDR, and then international voice notes.
Yeah, so best practice for SDR, I think, is an amazing way actually for SDRs to use Dux-Soup. I mean, I think they're going to get, it's going to supercharge their results straight away for sure. I think what you need to do is just be very careful with how the SDR pitches the voice note, right? Because typically the SDR is not going to be the person sitting the demo. So yeah, I think it just comes down to working with them, supporting them with the list, making sure it's the right target companies. Because typically when you've got an SDR, you've probably got quite a specific target audience. So yeah, just make sure that list is absolutely right. They're working on the right things. And then I think all you need to do is make sure that within that script, you just put something in there that they're explaining potentially that it's an opportunity for one of your colleagues to talk you through how it's worked, maybe for someone else very similar to you. Because one thing we've got to be careful with, and I've noticed this across LinkedIn in general, is when you're pitching for a sales meeting, but the person sitting in the sales meeting isn't the person pitching it, i.e. the SDR is not going to be sitting and they're pitching it for someone else, you've got to be really careful that your prospect isn't put off. And a lot of it comes down to preparation. It just comes down to how you talk to them, making it clear, making it obvious. So yeah, I would say with an SDR, we just want to make sure that when they're pitching this using the voice note method, that there's something in there in the call to action, which is because my colleague Jenny would love to walk you through how she's just helped this business achieve very similar results. Let me know if that works for you. Another option, if you feel that's a little bit cold, is you could potentially say we, the word we. And what that could then potentially mean when you go to book the call is it's like a nice soft transition of like, yeah, I mentioned that we will because myself and Jenny will be on the call. And to be fair, what SDR doesn't love to get in and kind of be involved in sales calls? Great for their development, and also it kind of helps a seamless transition from book meeting as well. So that's what I would do. Oh, and international. Just remember the international question as well. Sorry, Joe. So we've worked in different. So we've worked and done these campaigns in Holland, Sweden, the US. Very, very, very similar results. So nothing to write home about, nothing to say do this specific thing. I'm even doing a campaign for an American company with a UK accent on the voice notes, and that's working really well as well. So yeah, so there's no real rules around it. The biggest thing to take away from this, guys, is we're doing something completely different to the masses. You know, you could probably muck up the voice note, to be honest with you, and do a voice note which is probably pretty under par. The reality is these people that are getting 10, 15 messages a day are only getting one voice note. And once you've started playing a voice note, you're not going to end the voice note before it ends. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. It should work really well. And no, international, it should be fine. I've not come across anything anyway so far that shows me it's not.
That's really good insight on the international piece. Giles is answering the question I was about to talk about. Philip has said, I have current campaign running, but want to update my value proposition after today's webinar. That's great, Philip. Can I turn off the campaign, update the drip feed message, and turn the campaign back on again?
I believe no. Giles, is that still a no?
Well, no, I mean, you can, but only new enrollees will get the new version.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of people already in there who've already got those actions queued up. So yeah, it depends upon whether to be honest, your best bet here, Philip, would probably be just to create a new campaign and then put your new prospects into that campaign. And if needs be, switch some people from the old campaign to the new campaign if you want. So, you know, there are different ways of doing it, but for clarity and cleanliness of data, should we say, I would recommend creating just a new campaign. You can build as many different campaigns in Dux-Soup as you like, as we saw from James's screen earlier. So I don't see any problem in doing that.
One bit of best practice here as well, guys, I've made this mistake before, is this is why I only ever enroll a week's worth of data at a time. Because if we were thinking, right, let's enroll 1,000 people into this campaign because it's perfect, and then we have a session like this and you think, cool, I could be position myself a bit different here. And it's only gone through 200 of the 1,000. You've got 800 that are enrolled into a message that you wish was different. So you've then got to manually unenroll them all. You've then got to wait for 3 weeks to a month to try and re-invite them into your LinkedIn network again, potentially. So yeah, best practice there is just make sure you're only enrolling 150 people a week. And then every week, just make sure on Monday, you've got a big thing in your calendar that says re-enroll prospects. And then if a situation like this happens, you haven't got to worry so much because it's only gone out to a few.
And I can add to that as well. Based upon a lot of interactions I have with people, I speak to a lot of people who's like, yeah, great, we've got Dux-Soup, we're now going to enroll 2,500 people into a campaign. And they do it, and they leave it to run. Great, they get some great results. And then 3 months later, they're like, how do I enroll people again? If you do it every week, you'll remember, you'll refine, you'll get really good at it. If you don't do it for 3 months and you've not touched it for 3 weeks, for 3 months, then very often you're starting from scratch again. You have to learn it all again. So doing it repetitively is really, really useful. It helps build up your confidence in using the platform as well.
Definitely.
Suppose this is from Peter, which fits in quite nicely, I think, with what we've just talked about. Suppose you've accumulated a serious number of contacts and you want to reach out again to them after a longer period of no contact. How would you do that using Dux-Soup?
Yeah, so I would do the exact same thing. So you go and create a new drip campaign. So think about the new messaging you want to reach out to them with. It could be a voice note or it could be something else. Set that up as normal. And then what you do when you're building your list, you'll just filter by first degree connection, not second or third. Use the filter still, so use the industry, the job title, so you can still approach existing people you've not spoken to for a while, but use Dux-Soup to do it. And then all you do once you've built the list in Sales Nav, click the duck at the top, select the first degree connection campaign, and then enroll them directly into that.
Wonderful. Now I've seen someone was asking about how long it typically would take you. Mariana, what's the approximate time to close with your system for a 3K training program?
Yeah, I mean, for me, in regards to, so let's just hypothetically, let's say we found your prospects, you've sent out your first 30 voice notes, you've had 5 people come back saying, yeah, let's talk. And then today you've set the first demo, right? And they've said, yep, happy to kind of, sorry, your first demo is today, 5 days later. So I would then say that a 3K average order value is very, very closable within the first call. The most important thing that you do, Mariana, is you just focus massively still on the problems and the pains that they're experiencing. And you're the person coming in with the superhero cape, solving all those problems for them. And this is the price of it. Now, if you can build, or you can talk about any kind of return on investment discussion with them and say, well, listen, how much is it costing you now? You know, how much would it cost you if that happened again? Or if we can improve it by this, what would you make? Just try and try somehow to connect how much money they could either save or make off the back of your £3,000 offer, whether it be taking more clients on or not losing so many clients or saving lots of time. That's going to really help you close the deal quickly. What I tend to do, though, just a bit of best practice, is on the first call, at the beginning of that call, always explain to them, you know, I've got nothing to sell you on this call. It's very much just to understand, is there synergy here? Can we help you? Do you feel that we could be a good solution to your problems? If we do believe there is a great solution to your problems, then I will definitely ask you for the business. Is that okay with you? And at the beginning of the call, if you do that, that person then is fully prepared that you're going to ask them for the business if they think that you're a good match. And that's the big difference. You're telling them, I'm not going to ask for your business if I don't think we can help you. But if I do think we can help you and you agree that the solution I've got solving your problems, are you happy for me to do that? That's then going to put them into a position of taking you very, very seriously when you're talking to them. Typically, they're going to come back and say, I can't make a decision now. Can you give me a day or two to think about it? This is where we have to be absolutely watertight. So never leave that call without the next call booked in. Keep the call within 48 hours. Never go past that. And ask them, is there anybody else or anything else you need from me that's going to help you make a decision? If you do that, you should be in a really good position to close it quite quickly.
Yeah, okay, that's great advice. I've also spotted Maya has said, and I think this is a nice segue from what you've just said. Do you think people would click on testimonials if we were to send them in our first message?
So if it's a voice note, obviously talk about them. Ultra powerful, ultra powerful. If you want to send a written message in your first message, ultra powerful as well. Absolutely. I would say use it though. If you want to run that kind of campaign, use that as the theme. So I'd be saying very much, you know, the reason I'm reaching out is because I've just done some work with someone extremely similar to you, and I wanted to share exactly what they said about the experience with us. Please see below what they said. That's ultra important. And then what I would say is make sure your call to action's watertight. So if you're doing that and you're trying to convince them that we're great and we've helped someone very similar, really think about what you want from them. So whether it be really keen to talk you through this in much more detail, do you have some time next week to do that? Or could I send you a very short video just detailing to you very quickly what we did and how we did it, maybe looping in a lead magnet? But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, ultra powerful. There's nothing more powerful than customer stories, nothing more powerful.
Fabulous. There you go, Maya, from the horse's mouth. Some of these are quite long. Let's have a look. Have you had, this is from Corey, have you had any luck using SmartLink in sales now? I've not heard of SmartLink.
Myself personally, no, I haven't. I mean, I know of SmartLinks and people do use them. I think my understanding of SmartLinks are when you've got a very complex offer and you're reaching out to multiple people potentially, it's a very good way of running your campaigns. But I can't answer that in too much detail, to be honest, Corey. I'm sorry. I've not really used them for one. So yeah, probably not the best qualified to give too much on that one.
Martin, do you use LinkedIn Recruiter for finding candidates instead of Sales Navigator? And what are your thoughts about it? I don't know.
Haven't used LinkedIn.
Sales, really.
Yeah, I haven't used LinkedIn Sales Recruiter before, unfortunately. But no, yeah, I can't really give too much on that.
Giles, have you? I know we talk about Recruiter to some extent, but
yeah, so we've got a lot of a significant number of our users do use LinkedIn Recruiter, and Dux-Soup been supporting Recruiter for several years now. It very much depends upon what you're doing. I mean, it's Recruiter is very much that platform where you are actively recruiting for roles and filling positions, etc., and trying to find people in a certain way. So the fact that you can then within Recruiter build your pipelines or your projects, whatever you call them, and then enroll from those environments, it can be incredibly powerful. It's just another way of filtering and finding people who are in certain types of roles, have been in jobs for so long, or have flagged themselves as available for work, those sorts of things. So it's just another way of filtering and searching and finding those lists. And we all know, and we talk about this on all of our webinars, the quality of that list will determine the success of your campaign. Whether it's a voice note campaign like James is talking about here, this brilliant approach, which is proving to be fantastically successful, and I think is really unique as well. It's that uniqueness of this approach, which is really, really powerful. Or if you're looking at maybe a more, shall we say, conventional messaging campaign, you're always going to reap the benefit of spending more time in building that list, defining that list, and finding good quality leads and lists. That's always going to help bring all of that together. If you just do a quick and dirty search, you're going to get low quality responses and response rates. You want to make sure those filters are there. So if you have got access to a recruiter account, which is expensive, it's a significant investment. Make use of that, because that will be appropriate to your offering, whatever it may be.
Dimana, how long does it take to enroll the people on the list and then invite them? As James has said, that takes them about 15 minutes.
But yeah, what we'll do, if you've got like 100, if you're sending like 100 connections a week on LinkedIn, it's going to scatter them across the week. So this is why we wait every 7 days before the invites go out. So let's say I enrolled 100 people today. LinkedIn will basically send 20 to 30 connections a day until that limit's been reached. So if I was to then check back in next Tuesday, that whole week's worth of connections would have been staggered across, and I'll have basically a full representation of a week's worth of outreach. So yeah, if you can always say within a week, you'll have all of the weekly limit gone out, and you should have 20, 25 minimum to 40% acceptance rates within a week.
Fab. I had a message from Sarah. Giles is just answering you now. How many touches do you typically find it takes to get a reply from a connection? That's from Brooke.
All completely depends. So I've done some data on this, actually. You'd be quite shocked with this. A lot of people say that it takes 8-9 touches before someone responds to you. I think actually I think it's how long that takes to buy from you. In regards to how many touch points, I think 85% of all the meetings we booked last year, which is under 1,000, came from the first message, which is quite shocking because people think it's yeah. So that's, if you nail the first message and do a good job and you've got a good list, that's where the majority of your success is going to come from.
Yeah. Following on from that, to some extent then, Cameron has asked, we found that some key personas agree to meet or a call, and then once asked for an email or a best phone number to use on LinkedIn messages, they then shut down. What would be your approach to getting their number or email to send a Teams invite or call directly in your voice notes?
Yeah, so hypothetically then, let's just say they've come back and said they're happy to talk to you. So Joe mentioned a good point earlier, right? Never send a Calendly link automatically. I've done data on this as well. The drop-off's like 60%. People don't like doing any work to put the call in. So the best thing you can ever do is go and find 2 different days with 3 different alternatives. So you're giving them, say, right, I'm currently free on this day, at these different times. Which works best for you? Could you please send me your email address and I'll arrange for an invite to go out? Now, what I then do, that typically will, as long as they're serious, that will sort the problem 95% of the time. If they don't, what I would then do is just consciously, I would keep track of that. I'd probably qualify it in Dux-Soup, so you're kind of keeping track of your qualified people that have said they want to meet you. And then I'd go back 2 days later if I haven't heard back, and I'd send a voice note and just say, hi, Joe, haven't heard back. I've given you some dates. Do any of those work for you? Please let me know so I can get the invite out. And that's what I would do. So just never give a link, always give alternatives, and give quite a few alternatives. So they should hopefully find something that works. And then wait 2 days. If there's still no response, send them a voice note and try and follow it up. But be very, very presumptive.
Now, I can't find the message or who asked it, but there's been a couple of people who have asked about pain points. You're talking about mention their pain points and how you might overcome them. How do you find out what their pain points are?
So typically, how you find out what their pain points are is existing experiences. If you're working in a business, the first thing I would do is go and talk to a customer success manager and say, talk me through your accounts. Talk me through the biggest amounts of pain that your clients are seeing today. And I want to know how you overcome them for them. Because what you're doing is then you're actually using real life experiences of people using your product, your tool, your service, and you are understanding the kind of before state, and you're also understanding how they get to the kind of after state, which is the desired state. By kind of hearing it from a real life experience, you can then use that to then fuel your outreach because it's justified. Someone's told you it's fact, it's true. So try not to get research online to figure out what pain points are for certain people. Try and get experiences. That's going to really back up how powerful your solution is, how powerful your offer is. Like I said, I'll tell a very short story. Joe's heard this probably 4 times now, I think, in the last 6 months. But it just tells the story really quickly. When I was working at Trustpilot, we were trying to sell to the perfume shop. It took 9 months to sell to the perfume shop about how the importance of customer reviews and this kind of thing. One day after that sign, we called the fragrance shop, their biggest competitor, told them that Trustpilot were on their website, on the checkout page, helping them secure more sales. Within 12 hours, they'd signed a £50,000 deal. Because the power of stories, you telling someone that your solution has worked for somebody else in this way, and they were here, now they're here because of the work that you've done with them, is what every single prospect wants to hear. It's, okay, this is real, this is legit, it's worked for someone else, and it's worked for someone that's our nearest competitor. We must take this seriously. So yeah, but it all comes from real life stories. So go and talk to people that have used the service, used the experience, and figure out where were they before and where are they now they've worked with us. What's the biggest impact it's had on them?
This is part of a question from myself, James, and partly a question from Patrick. So he has asked, did you help or have you helped clients that work in the niche of software development? Which makes me think, actually, I don't know if we positioned, do you specialize your coaching program? Do you work in a particular industry sector?
So we can work with anybody as long as your ideal customer's on LinkedIn. That's the kind of short kind of answer on it. Specifically, you know, if you've got a higher value product, that's more important to us because we know that one sale it's worth much more, which is great. If you're selling something for say £50, it's going to be a lot more difficult to be able to kind of get your return on investment and actually start to make good amounts of money using the tools, the systems, plus the program that we kind of enroll you into. But no, as long as your ideal customer is on LinkedIn, I mean, software development's a great one. We work with a number of those. Yeah, absolutely, it works.
Awesome. Janet has asked, are these DM messages or is it in the about section?
These are all DM messages. So they're all DM messages to people that have actually accepted your connection request too. So they want to join your network, then we're sending them a DM. But talking about your about section, just give you a very, very quick overview on that. So your profile being optimized is very important. So your headline, your banner, your picture, very, very important. Typically people spend 7 seconds on your profile. So if we're talking to them about something in a voice note or a message and they hit your profile and your profile says something completely different to what you're talking to them about, it's going to put them off. So with your profile, best practice, just make sure your banner talks to your audience, says how you solve problems, so does your headline, and then your about section is almost a mini business pitch. It's like, if you're struggling with these problems, this is how we've helped other people achieve them. We help you with this, and this, with a really good call to action. So that's just best practice around profile.
Awesome, thank you. Sophie has asked, how long should your offer be? If you're using it on LinkedIn, would you just go in with one killer sentence?
So if you kind of use the framework that I spoke about before, it typically is one sentence, yeah, but you can try and fill it out a bit. So you can turn it into a bit of a paragraph if you want to, but simply put, yeah, it is, your offer is typically one really good, deep, meaningful, powerful sentence, yeah.
Awesome. Giles, are there any that you think would be good for us to put to, I'm just aware we've now gone 20 minutes over. There's still over 100 people though. So,
there's been a few questions about what version of Dux-Soup do you require? Unique Dux-Soup Turbo as a minimum to be able to run campaigns. So that's something to have a look at. Have a look at our website. If you have not used Dux-Soup before, install it for the first time from the Chrome Web Store. You'll automatically get a 2-week free trial. Message from Cameron was around, does it have to be related to a Google account? Yes, it does, because it's in the Chrome Web Store, and that's where the authentication works. You can run Dux-Soup in other browsers other than Chrome, but it has to be a Chrome-compatible browser, so a Chromium-based browser, and there are many out there. So you can look at that information on our website as well. A few questions about gathering email addresses and phone numbers. Dux-Soup only gathers data that it sees in LinkedIn. It doesn't use any other data sources for that. So those are some of the questions that I've been answering while James and Joe have been going through those sorts of things as well.
I've just seen one as well, which might be quite handy to cover. Let me just jump back. Barry has asked, can you use LinkedIn groups instead of using Navigator to get lists? Now, we did a session on this, and I'm just going to send you a link, Barry, to a good article about how to use groups to get that information. I don't know if you would use necessarily that instead of Navigator, but I think if you had free LinkedIn, that's certainly a good way of getting perhaps more data than would be available.
Yeah, and there are other lists you can use as well. So it's not just about groups. You know, think about people who've reacted to posts, people who've attended events, people who've registered to attend events. So perhaps Joe can also include the link to the lists article that we have, you know, all the lists that Dux-Soup supports. You know, if you've got a company page and you're the admin, you can run Dux-Soup against the page followers, alumni lists from places of study, all sorts of different lists. So you're not just restricted to the search results. There are lots of other possibilities there, and groups can be one of them.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe.
No, I was just going to say, because I can't add this into the chat for everybody to see. So if you just go into our blog pages and type on in the search engine, put lists, it will bring up using LinkedIn lists with Dux-Soup, which is the article that Giles was on about. If you also go in and type groups, it will bring you up the other article that I was talking about that talks about groups. And I think there's another one as well. If you type in events, I think it will bring up a third one called how to use events to secure appointments. So all of those three. So yeah, if you jump into the blog page and just type those 3 keywords into the search, then it will bring up those 3 articles.
What you can do is when you answer a question, you can actually push that to the slide area, and then it becomes available to everybody, I think. Rather than answering to an individual.
You. Nice. Did not know this.
Oh, I thought that would work. Maybe that hasn't. It hasn't. I just answered the question, and it's now. I thought the question would then appear in the slide. Oh well, there we go.
All good fun. Perhaps that is a good place to end today's session then. If we haven't answered your question, we'll have a look through when the session is closed, and if we can offer insight or send any information, then we will do. From our perspective, I've mentioned these 2 upcoming webinars. So we've got the strategies for automating using free LinkedIn or Sales Navigator. That's coming up on the 15th of April. And the SaaS or technology workshop, which I also mentioned earlier, that's coming up at the end of April on the 29th. So you can register for those. They're now showing on the website, and the links are in the content that you have there as well. Giles, would you like to talk about your support?
Yes, sure. Yeah. So if you're stuck with Dux-Soup, and you can't, maybe you're stuck with trying to run your campaigns or whatever it is. Of course, via our website, we have our virtual support via our fantastic support team. If they can't solve your problem, then we'll set up a free support call with myself or Scott, most likely. If you're looking for more structural assistance, you want to maybe help in setting up something through Zapier, or want help in defining various campaigns, etc., then you can also book either a booster or a technical call via the links that you see here, and you can see all of those links on our website as well. So yes, you know where to find us if you need us.
Awesome. We always like a review as well, and we offer these caps out to anyone who leaves us a nice review using today's date. So if you would like one, then leave us a lovely review on G2 or Trustpilot, and we can get those winging their way to you. So for now, then, I would just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who joined us, and an even bigger thank you to James, because I think you've stayed on for 90 minutes talking, so thank you for that. And we've had some amazing comments from everybody saying, you know, how interesting the session was, how they're going to go away and change how they're doing their lead generation based on all the insights that you've given us. So thank you, James, for your participation. It's been a really, really insightful session.
Good to hear. Not a problem at all. Pleasure. Thank you, Jo.
Awesome. No worries. Thanks, Giles. Thanks for your support.
Thanks, everybody. Speak next time.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers,
And see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.